Lisa Gilmore. And, Gary Gilmore. Roger Adair. No, they're saying the last one. I saw. Good morning. The court is going to take up the first case on the court's docket. It's cause number CV2107232 in the interest of Haley Barnhill and child. The case is set for an adversary hearing on an original petition for protection of a child filed by the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. The hearing today is being conducted pursuant to emergency orders of the Texas Supreme Court via Zoom video conference. Participating in the hearing today on behalf of the department is investigator Stephanie Pack, engaged caseworker Rhonda Donahue, Supervisor Angela Meadow, and Brown County Attorney Shane Britton. The mother of the child is Charlene Stewart, and I believe Ms. Stewart is participating in our hearing today, and I'll confirm that in just a moment. She has been personally served with citation notice of suit on July 21st, 2021. The alleged father of the child is Justin Barnhill, who is not present. Chelsea Timmons is appointed as the attorney and guardian ad litem for the child, and she is present at this time. Let's see, I also show on my screen some other individuals participating. I see Alyssa Gilmore. Ms. Gilmore, could you unmute your device and advise the court your connection with the case, please? Ms. Gilmore, are you able to hear me? And there's also a Gary Gilmore that's on my screen who, and I would note for the record that according to the Zoom program, both Ms. Gilmore and Mr. Gilmore currently do not have their video or their audio devices enabled at this point, so I can't communicate with them. Ms. Pack, do you know or who those two individuals might be?
Sorry, I didn't understand you.
Do you know who Mr. and Mrs. Gilmore are or what they're connected?
They are the current placement for the child, I believe. I believe Rhonda moved the child over to them yesterday. That's the paternal grandparents.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll stand by for a second. All right. I believe Alyssa Gilmore is now participating in the hearing today. Mr. Gilmore is still not joined at this point. I would also note for the record that investigator Janet Ratliff is also now participating in the hearing on behalf of the department. All right, Mr. Britton, could you advise the court and the parties and counsel what orders the department is seeking to?
Yes, Judge. The department is seeking to be named as the temporary managing conservator of the child and the parents would be named as temporary possessory conservators. The child would remain in the grandparents' home, the Gilmores, for the foreseeable future. A single case plan meeting or a permanency meeting will be held where a family service plan will be created for the parents.
Thank you. And well, without getting into evidence at this point, Ms. Pack and Ms. Ratliff, and I guess Ms. Donna, I would note for the record that the alleged father, Mr. Barnhill, is not currently participating in the hearing. Do you have any contact with him? Do you know where he is located? The record doesn't reflect he's been served at this point. Do you know his whereabouts at this time?
Your Honor, it's my understanding that he is hiding at this time. He currently has a warrant out from parole, and so he's not had any contact with me since the beginning of June for the FBSS case.
Well, I'll come back to that issue here in just a little bit. All right, let's see. Ms. Stewart, are you able to hear me? If so, could you unmute your device?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay. The purpose of today's hearing is to determine whether or not the court should grant the temporary orders being requested by the department. The Department of Child Protective Services has filed this suit, and in this hearing, they are requesting the court enter certain temporary orders, which would include an order that would continue for the time being. The department as temporary managing conservator of the child, meaning the department would, for the time being, have the duty and responsibility to make sure the child is in a safe environment and appropriately cared for whatever the duration the case may have. The orders would include an order that would appoint you as a temporary possessory conservator, meaning you'd have court or visitation rights with your child while this case proceeded. The orders would also include orders for the department to be ordered to provide to you and to Mr. Barnhill, should he wish to participate in certain services to try to address whatever the concerns were that led the department to file this suit, and with the goal of trying to resolve those concerns so the child, if it's continues to be out of your care, could be returned to your care. Those orders would also order you to participate in those services. If the court were to enter those orders, then I would be required to set some additional hearings in the case to check on the status of the case, see how the department's doing on providing or referring you for services, see how you are doing on participating in those services, and see if the issues that led the department to file the suit have been resolved to the point where the child can be returned to your care. For purposes of determining how to proceed with the hearing today, I need to determine what your position is on those orders, whether you're in agreement with those orders or whether you are opposed to those orders. So at this time, do you know what your position is? Are you in agreement with the court entering those orders as they relate to you, or are you opposed to the court entering those orders?
Yes, sir, I agree.
Thank you. I'm gonna, let's see, who on behalf of the department, Mr. Britton, will need to testify as to Mr. Barnhill, since my understanding is he's not been served and is not making himself available for service. I think I need some evidence as to his situation and why the department's not getting served, so I can proceed with the hearing today. Let me, Ms. Pack or Ms.
Yeah, I don't, who prefers, Ms. Pack or Ms. Ratliff?
I think Ms. Pack was discussing it, so I'm going to swear her in first.
Okay.
Ms. Pack, would you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give today before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Britton, if you want to proceed as it relates
Your
to
Honor.
Mr. Barnhill.
Ms. Pack, you are the FBSS worker, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, you were mentioning earlier about Mr. Barnhill. Could you give us an update on the information you have as it relates to his location?
Okay, so I had been working FBSS services with Charlene and Justin. Charlene since April, Justin Barnhill since May when he was released from Brown County on for parole. He had worked with me really well until about the last time I saw him was on June the 24th, I believe. After that time, I could not get a hold of him by phone. I couldn't locate him to do a face-to-face visit or anything like that. I've asked Charlene as well as other family members, if they knew how to get in touch with them. And the only number that I had or that they had that they could provide me when I contacted that phone number, I was told that Justin had given that to Charlene's cousin, Daniel, and that they weren't sure where he was living at.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier that you believe that he has a blue warrant from parole.
Yes, sir. So Janet and I, during working this case together, contacted his parole officer, and his parole officer did say that he had an active warrant at this time for parole because his ankle monitor had gone offline.
Okay. All right. And you have, or have you checked the Brown County Jail to see if he's been picked up?
Yes, the last time I checked the jail records was yesterday, and he was not in there yesterday that I know of.
Okay. Now, you had made the comment that you believe that he is hiding. Is that just based upon your kind of your experience with this case, or did somebody tell you that they thought that was the situation?
It's based on my experience with him in this case. I believe that he was afraid to meet with me because when we did our very first initial visit is when Brownwood PD picked Justin up on his first warrant. And I believe that he was afraid that if he met with me, that he would be picked up again.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Timmons, do you have any questions relating to Mr. Barnhill?
Have family members been able to provide any contact information for him or anything?
They did not for me, no, ma'am. I'm not sure if they have since the case has been moved over to Engage or not, but I did not have any updated information on him.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other questions for this witness, Mr. Britton?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Any other evidence you want to present relating to Mr. Barnhill or this portion of the case?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Timmons, regarding the orders that are being requested by the department today, do you have a position on those orders?
I do. I'm in agreement, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, the court, after hearing the evidence, and Ms. Britton is the department requesting the court take judicial notice of the affidavit filed in this case, judicial notice of the contents of that affidavit for the limited purposes of today's hearing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And taking addition notice of that affidavit, the information contained therein, and the announcement by the mother, the court will make the findings required under section 262.201 of the Texas Family Code, and I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator of the child, continuing the child in the current placement. The mother is appointed as a temporary possessory conservator with visitation rights to be presented the visitation plan to be filed by the department or already filed by the department. The court will order paternity testing as it relates to Mr. Barnhill, since he is, as I understand, an alleged father at this point. And the court will order the respondents to participate in services to be arranged by the department. The next hearing in this case will be set on September 30th, 2021 at 11:45. That's a status hearing. The initial permanency hearing is set on January 13th, 2022 at 9:30. A permanency hearing and pretrial is set for May 12th, 2022 at 9. The trial, if needed, is set for June 23rd, 2022 at 2. And the dismissal date for the case is July 25th, 2022. Ms. Stewart, I'm required to notify any parent in this type of case that because of the nature of these proceedings, your parental custodial rights and duties to your child may be subject to restriction or even termination. Your progress in any court orders or plan of service will be reviewed at future hearings in the case. That said, the goal of a case like this, if the child is removed from a parent, is to return the child to the parent and encourage you to work with the department and try to resolve their concerns. That's usually the quickest way to resolve these cases, and hopefully the child can be back in here in the near future. I've set a number of hearings in this case. We may or may not have all those hearings. If the case gets resolved before we get to one of those hearings, then we won't have them, but it'll be important for you to participate in those hearings if the case is still going on. In any litigation, you have a right to retain a lawyer to represent you as the case proceeds. If as the case proceeds, you become opposed to what the department's wanting to do in the case and need legal advice but cannot afford it, you can make a request for a court-appointed lawyer by filing an affidavit of indigence with the Brown County District Clerk. If the court determines you do not have sufficient assets or income to hire a lawyer on your own, the court can appoint one for you at that time. I wish you the best of luck. All right. With that, we'll be adjourned for the day. Thank you very much.